Hey, I wanted to show you how to use the Makeup You Got, my favorite quad ever. So I'm gonna go ahead and just start with, well, I sprayed primer already. What you're gonna wanna do next is use, well, if you're like me, use your darker concealer under your eyes. You can use a brush or your finger. And with this concealer, it's really important that you warm it up and work it into your skin. So I use my hand and then it is kind of tacky. And you just kind of want to really rub it in pretty well. And that acts as a primer for your eyeshadow. And actually for this particular combo, because the colors are lighter, oops, my phone is slipping, hang on. There. The lighter concealer would also be good, but for the eyelids, but for under the eyes, I still use the darker one, and then that just covers up the darkness, and then I will still go over with a lighter one and kind of get that light and bright look under the eye. And then I don't put foundation on in this area. Kind of go around it. So you can use either concealer, but I guess I should have just used this one since we don't need two on the top of my eyes. So from here, you're going to want to use a pressed powder, a setting powder of some sort, like our translucent powder. And I use a pretty small brush because then I can get into all the nooks and crannies of my eyes. Let's see, looking for a good brush here. Okay, I'm gonna use this angled brush. It's clean and stiff. All right, so just using your angled brush. This will keep your makeup from creasing, and it provides a nice base. So it looks white, but it goes on clear. If you don't have this, I would still use any sort of setting powder because it makes a huge difference. Last thing you want is your eye makeup to start creasing. Under the eyes, you can apply this pretty darn liberally. Actually, I'm gonna use a bigger brush. I'm gonna actually use my foundation brush. This is gonna be my version of baking under the eyes. It's gonna feel like you have too much powder on, but actually by the time you go back in with your foundation and you're buffing everything out, it's gonna be perfect. All right, feeling better already. Okay, so for your base, the first color, I'm gonna get my eyeshadows out here. The first color you're gonna use is your yellow, which is also known as Blondie. Okay, so you wanna take a shorter brush, something that doesn't have too much fluff to it. I'm gonna use, where are you? Little Lime Life brush, yeah, here it is, brush number 20. Something like this. You're gonna wanna get quite a bit of product on that brush. Usually you don't have to load your brush this much, but for the yellow, it's lighter. You're probably gonna have to do a couple coats. So the yellow's going on the lid, but not the whole lid. You don't have to go all the way to the tear duct, and you don't have to go all the way to the crease. It's like the peekaboo part of your lid is what I call it. Okay, so that's the first step. The next step then is to get a fluffy brush, maybe something like that, and take your copper color, and you're not gonna have to put a ton on, but before you start blending, place out here, and then it is coming in. So this is gonna be corner and crease, but not all the way to the eyelid, to the eye duct or the tear duct. More outer 2/3. About like that. Eye shape does matter. I tend to be a little bit on the hooded side, so I bring it up. If you don't feel like you need that, I mean, you can stay lower, you can stay more in the crease. You can kind of play around with placement. I'm gonna load just a little bit more on there. These two are both shimmers. They marry very well. I just mean that by, like, the more you blend them, the more seamless it looks. It's just a really gorgeous color combination. I love it. And right now I'm just blending the yellow with the copper. One of the tips that I like to do, I don't really blend too much out. Like I've got my copper on. I don't really want it going out much higher. So when I'm doing my circles, I'm bringing the circles like in towards the yellow, if that makes sense. You can do a little bit out too, but I don't blend out to like the brow. I just sort of stay in this little circle. I feel like I have slightly more on my right eye than my left, so I need to keep applying. I'm kind of doing a little bit more exaggerated than you might. You definitely don't have to go this heavy with the color. You can be simpler, and I know it seems like it's taking forever, but it's because I'm a perfectionist and I'm talking. So take a clean brush, soften up the line out here. That was a trick I did not know for a while, but it makes a huge difference. Okay, then smaller but still fluffy brush. I like this one. Take your black. This black is gonna last you for the rest of your life. Okay, I barely put any on. What I'm looking for is the high point of my brow, and I'm putting a spot there. Okay, I'm gonna actually and literally blend out most of that color. What this is gonna do is just add a tiny bit more dimension. Basically, I'm just gonna kind of like do it right in here. Again, this one you wanna pull down, not really out. Once you've got it kind of blended, then we'll go get that floofier brush and blend a little more. I feel like that side needs a little bit more. For daytime or work or whatever, this is not something you'd have to do. Like you could easily leave the black off and just do the other. But for a little bit more drama, I like this. All right, so now all I'm doing is just blending it down with a little bit bigger, fluffier brush to really marry the colors. This one is matte, so it does work in a little differently, but I like that because it gives a little bit of balance to the shadow, so it doesn't seem too shiny on your eyes, I guess. And then take your dry, clean brush, and again, just clean up the edges so they're not so harsh. All right, so then the last step, and you can probably use your yellow brush, kind of just work off the extra color, is use the shimmery white. It's called Sweet Dreams. Load up quite a bit, and that is going in here. And I'm gonna go ahead and put foundation on, then come back to that because we're probably gonna need just a little bit more. So foundation wise, you can add a moisturizer to it, or you can use it just as is. I am gonna use Skin Therapy and do a pump right into the tray. So it looks like this. And then I'm gonna use a brush. This is an old Glamcore brush that I have that I don't think they make anymore, but it's a buffer brush. I like the bristles on it, it's soft. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is just go through and start applying that color. I'm not gonna go over the concealer and powder that I put under the eyes. It's gonna be a work around that. Sometimes I do my eyebrows first before I do this, but a lot of times I do the eyebrows after. It's kind of your personal preference. So now I'm just gonna start blending this color. Make sure I don't have any patches or creases, even brush strokes. I tend to go like this and just pat over without really trying to put color on, just to sort of buff it, I guess. And then I tend to use that foundation and just clean up the corners. I feel like I got a little bit of that black fell out on my concealer. Okay. I'm taking that clean brush and just, I don't want a harsh foundation line right there, so there. All right, so don't forget to pull your foundation down your neck. All right, so now let's go back to that pressed powder and we'll do a little bit more and set everything. Looking for a clean brush. This is a clean brush. I'm gonna do brows next, and then I'm gonna show you my eyeliner trick. My chair is squeaky. Okay, so brows, pretty simple. The way I do them is with sorry, I'm stuttering. Just noticed this black needs. Okay, I use La Vida Mocha, which is a brown, ashy brown. And what I would suggest is use your primer. I'm just gonna spray the brush, get it pretty wet, because that will help, almost makes it like a brow, liquid brow pencil or something. And I'm just shaping. You can do as much or as little as you want with your brows. And I know since you watched some of my videos, you probably have a pretty good idea how I shape mine. The main thing is I do some upward strokes. Right in here. My brush needs a little bit more primer. Okay. A little bit more color. Sometimes I go in with a heavier hand than this. Just depends on my mood, I guess, more than anything. Today I'm feeling like a lighter brow is good. Okay, so the trick for, sorry, my eyes are watering. The trick for lost my good eyeliner. What did I do with it? Okay, I'm just gonna go with this one. So it's an older one, but it should be fine. All right, the trick that I have discovered, and again, eyeliner, like there are days when I'll just do minimal, just a line, and there are days when I want to go all out with a wing. And I think the feedback I got on this look was that people loved the wing. So what I'm going to show you is basically what you're going to do is corner of your eye, the line is out to the end of your brow. And then from here you can totally make the shape however big you want. Mine's gonna go to the end of the color basically. All right, now what I used to do, sorry, my eyes are, I have 3 lights here. I've been using a lash growth serum and it makes my eyes red anyway. Okay, sorry, let me get my, I can't do this when my eyes are watering. What I used to do is just a straight line, straight down. But then what I noticed was if my eyes were open, it would look like it kind of did a little wave and dip thing. So what I've discovered is if you come in like this to your crease and then cut down, almost like at a curve, like that. When your eyes are open, it looks perfectly straight. So then I just go back in and color it in. This one is gonna need, this one's about perfect. I can always get the right eye better than the left. I think it's because of not having to reach across my body. All right, so that is pretty good wing. All right. If you want to, you can take some of the shimmer and bring it down here and color in the bottom. I'm not gonna do that because I kind of like how it's very bold on the top and then doesn't have anything on the bottom. I think it's really dramatic. I like that. Okay, so I can't use my Limelight foundation or mascara because it's upstairs in my purse. But let's go ahead and just put on some mascara. I did a separate video on my wall. Probably the first week of November with a tutorial for false eyelashes. So if you need that, you should be able to go to my Facebook page and search lashes, I believe, and you'll find that video. Okay, if you get any mascara on your makeup, use a clean spoolie or like a sample mascara wand, and you should be able to pick that color right up. All right, the last couple things, let me put my lipstick on. This is Not Telling. My favorite nude. You can use this by itself, or let me just show you this fun little trick. You can actually take that yellow that we put on your lids and mix it with your finger. It actually just makes it, well, it gives it a tiny bit of shimmer, and it makes it like a little bit more orangey instead of peachy, which I like for this look because it matches the shimmery copper and the shimmery yellow. And then the last thing, and I'm gonna use my fan brush because I love how it works for bronzer. And I'm gonna use this dark bronzer number 7. Find your cheekbone, and right under there, not all the way down here where not all the way down there, but right in between. Tap some of that. And since I'm pretty fair, it doesn't take much. This is my favorite contour color. It might take just a little bit of time to get used to it because it is so dark, but wow, it gives so much dimension to your face. It is gorgeous. See, I did a little bit more blending on this side. I don't want it to go down quite that low. Just take some of that down here, and then the lightest of light sweeps across your brow. What we have left, well, I want to show you this one little trick. Okay, so if you want to make your brow bone pop, take your light concealer. I'm using Concealer 0. And just, it's not very much color, but just the tiniest bit of color right there makes a huge difference. One other tiny little trick is, see how my brows, the hair has already kind of flattened? I'm using our new brow gel and kind of just pulling them up. Then I'll take our brow brush and calm it back down. But this is literally like a hair gel. It just holds your brows in place so you don't lose that shape. The color won't go anywhere of the brow color I showed you. It's just that sometimes the shape of your hairs will fall. So then you've got the color, but your hairs aren't lined up where you want them to be. If that makes sense. Okay, and then blush. This is number 3. This is similar to NARS Orgasm. It's a super popular blush color. And then the last little trick, so that light color that you applied in here, you can actually use that as a highlight. So I'm putting that right here. right on the cheekbone. Do you see that? All right, start to finish, there's your look. Hope you love it. Give me some feedback. Bye guys.